In general, Deer Park Farm just again has a lot of different legs to it. We have a very productive farm. We have an acidified foods and canning factory up here. We have a spiritual center as well, the Shanti community, and so there are just a lot of elements here. But mostly, we strive to just provide opportunity for local people here. We also strive to produce healthy food for the community, and we're really trying to, make high quality products in the kitchen. Again, everything that we produce here goes straight to the kitchen, and then that, as far as pickles and hot sauces and salsas and all of that kind of complements the pasta side of things that you guys saw, the raviolis, the fresh pastas, and so we're kind of trying to give a whole picture with, with a good, solid set of products. Yeah, so also at Deer Park, we only use natural processes. We're not certified organic for a ton of reasons. Just the paper trail is crazy. We only use organic practices, but legally we can't put that on the label. We just, we grow naturally. We use a lot of our own horse manure here on the farm. We have horses. We use all the compost that comes back from the kitchen. I'll source a little bit of cow manure around locally in the area, just making sure that they also use more ecological practices. These days, a lot of cattle farms, they use a lot of pesticides and herbicides, and those herbicides also follow all the way through to the manure, where that will actually kill your crops. The herbicides are non-targeted, so you have to be pretty careful sourcing outside manures and fertilizers. We do use a little bit of supplemental organic fertilizers, a company, Harmony, out of New York. Again, totally organic, but we try to keep the circuit pretty closed here. So it's about as sustainable as you can get with the compost, with the horse manures, and just a little bit of additional organic fertilizers, but we're striving to really keep that circle closed. So right now it's only the first week of June, and the high tonals really help us out with getting a huge head start. So these tomatoes, they've been in the ground for a couple months already. It was still in 30s and 40s, and so obviously you can't put those outside yet. We're just now getting to the point where we got out of those lows of 40s, and so then we're going to put another 1,000 tomatoes and hundreds of peppers outside. But right now, if you were to walk around the farm, you would see a lot of your early crops, onions and potatoes and shallots, and you'd see a lot of those things that are really doing well. But the nice thing is, by mid-June, we'll already be, we've got cucumbers, we've got tomatoes that are loaded, we've got all these peppers, and so we're basically 2 months ahead of the game in these houses. It gives you so much freedom and so much time, and the beauty is we're not market farmers. I did that for years. It's such a hustle. You get to the market, you've got all this beautiful produce, it's sitting there in the sun, it goes bad, you end up with a lot of waste, a lot of wasted time. And so the beauty of this farm, again, just kind of keeping it sustainable and keeping a closed loop, everything that I produce goes straight to the kitchen. So even if I have a tomato that's ugly, that would be a reject at the grocery store, a little bug hole or whatever, we have zero waste. Everything goes into our products, a 2-minute drive over to the kitchen. And that's really the beauty here. Nobody's having to sit out in the sun and sell produce and just watching it go bad. And so really that's the beauty. Well, again, so when I'm improving the beds, I use mostly just horse manure that's here locally. And so that's, you're going to build up a lot more organic matter and fertility in your soils, and not just in these beds in the houses, but we have 20 some beds up here in the top hill. We've got another 20 some beds in the lower production field. And so that takes time to you're incorporating that manure and just building general soil health, soil fertility, biodiversity in there, your earthworms and all your microbes. And but then, you know, if you have heavy tomatoes are pretty heavy eaters, and so when we plant these tomatoes, we'll put a little bit of an organic fertilizer like a Harmony, or you know, it's derived from chicken manure, and you know, just to give that nitrogen boost. And besides that, you know, even if we typically don't have a lot of pest issues, but if we do, you know, we'll use some organic sprays and, you know, things that are certified organic. But a lot of the reason that, you know, besides just the incredible paperwork and paper trail of being certified organic, that, you know, in our situation doesn't really, you know, raise our bottom dollar that much, you know, as far as our products and stuff that we're making. And especially also, like, you can't source other seeds, you know, like we like to grow a wide array of products. You know, if you're on the farm right now, there's probably a dozen different kinds of tomatoes and, you know, several kinds of, you know, every kind of crop, several kinds of peppers and potatoes and, like I said, scallions and garlic. And if you're organic certified, it really, it limits your access to also be creative, because we like to put in, like, let's try this different tomato variety, and the seed might not be organic certified, but, you know, for our means, it doesn't really matter that much that the seed itself isn't certified organic. You know, it gives us freedom to experiment more, to see what does well here. Well, that's on the other side of it. So we do it because it's ecologically sound, and of course, just for our consumers' health as well. You know, we all eat off of here. All the food that we send, you know, we want it to be healthy food. That's why we don't use any chemical fertilizers, any chemical sprays, because, you know, those are the same foods that we eat, that our children eat, and so the practices are more. I mean, you know, you're talking about, we want to keep healthy insects here. You know, we don't use chemical fertilizers because we want to look out in our fields and we want to see those flowers and pollinators and all the local bees, and you know, I'm not going to spray Monsanto herbicides, and I'm not going to spray any sort of insect or any sort of chemical pesticides. You know, those residues stay on the foods. It's more an ecological question and just a general health question. I can grow just as beautiful produce without using synthetic fertilizers, you know, that are derived from petrochemicals, petroleum. I don't have to use chemical pesticides that are harmful for your health, and, you know, but I just get the same results. I get beautiful produce. Yeah, so I mean, say for example that I was just a pure market gardener. Then I will take my beautiful peppers and get up at 5 in the morning, pack my truck, go to a market, set up my little spot, and anything that I don't sell is just sitting out in the heat all day, just dying, you know, just going bad. And so that, I mean, there's inherent waste in that process alone. And so the beautiful thing, and also, like, that's what makes our products that are made in the kitchen, I think, a step up, because they're literally harvested and they'll be in the kitchen getting processed, you know, a half hour later. And so you talk about the freshness and the waste. Again, you know, if I have beautiful cases of peppers, but you're going to have some ugly ones because an insect bit it and made a hole, or because it might be a little, you know, it might have a soft spot, or, you know, a tomato, whatever issue, then that still goes and gets processed. So you imagine just the minimal waste in the entire process from here once it's picked, and then it's right instantly made into a product. You know, there's quite a few things. I know, you know, the owner, Swede, is he's involved in quite a lot of outreach and supports the community in a lot of ways. Right on the same road, there's the Springhouse Alternative Education School, and so we interact with them quite a bit. I know the owner has supported them quite a bit just in their own growth, and we'll have interns come from the school, high school kids, and for them it's a great opportunity because they can go in the kitchen and they can learn how to, you know, work professionally in a kitchen. they can learn how to make products. Then, you know, I'll have interns come here. They learn, you know, a ton of agricultural science and production and, you know, how to actually run a farm. And, but besides that, also, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of components to the farm. The whole Shanti community side of things, it's basically an open spiritual center for the community. So if people want to come and have retreats there and, you know, have whatever kind of groups, you know, that, you know, just positive groups for the community, whether it's like men's groups or yoga or spiritual practices or whatever. And that's really also a strong part of the farm here that, you know, that's really a nice, it's just a really nice resource for people around here to have too. You know, so it's a very welcoming space. At the moment, well, I mean, like I said, there's the whole spiritual center is one thing, but we, right now under construction, we have a big center that will have classrooms and things in it. And that's really going to open the door to more, right now we're limited a little bit in because technically it is an acidified foods manufacturing factory. And so it's difficult to open that to an educational, you know, to a workshop. But that's coming soon. And at that point, we will be able to just, you know, have just, you know, all of these practices that are getting lost, homesteading practices, how to preserve food and can and cooking and farming. And those are avenues that we're moving into. So besides local restaurants in the region, from Roanoke to Blacksburg to Floyd, we supply a lot of restaurants with our fresh pastas. It's really hard to get a quality fresh pasta. We make several kinds of raviolis that are awesome. You can also go to even local little shops and gas stations. We have a really nice variety of all of our sauces, hot sauces, tomato sauce, pickles, and besides that, we also just now opened up our e-commerce store. So if you like to shop online, we have our little store that is deerparkfarmva.com, and you can just go in there, peruse our products, see what you like. You'll also have a comprehensive list of where, if you're local, where you can find them, and if not, you can just hit that button and see if you like something.
My name is Luke Vollison. I'm the kitchen manager at Deer Park Farm currently, and I'm originally from Roanoke, Virginia. I happenstance came across the farm when I was looking for a farm job, just trying to take a break from kitchens, and I fell in love with everything about Deer Park, the mission and the land, the owner. Everything about it has been a dream for me. In the kitchen at Deer Park, we are dedicated to creating an accessible product to our customers and to making sure that we have no preservatives and use everything as locally and naturally as possible. That is what originally brought me to Deer Park, working with and creating products that are chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide free is both incredible for our environment, important for our community's health, and gives us a much higher quality product to work with in the kitchen. We source our grains from Caputo and King Arthur's mills. King Arthur's in America is very special because they used unbleached, unbaramated grains in all of their products, and they are also an employee-run business. They have the best flours that I've ever worked with from America and have given us the ability to have a protein structure that really helps the texture of our pasta. The other half of our flour blend comes from Italy, from Caputo. They have higher standards in Europe across the board for their grains to begin with, so there isn't bleaching and baramation in Italy. But the semolina flour that they produce is what gives our pasta the ability to have a stretchiness and a little bit more chew to it. Our ravioli is currently at Giraldi's, a restaurant in Floyd. We've had our ravioli in Parkway, that is also a restaurant in Floyd. There is Pickle and Ash in Stewart, and they've been carrying our mushroom ravioli for almost a year now. I believe those are the most prevalent ones that I can think of off the top of my head. My favorite creations that we have here right now are the sauerkrauts across the board. The ginger, the garlic, and the papas kraut are all fantastic products. I love making the fresh pasta and all of our raviolis. And the pasta sauce itself is my creation and something that I babied along the way for months at a time, and it takes a full day to make it, but it is by far my favorite thing that we do make currently. My go-to recipe, especially for a night that I'm short on time, which is exactly what this is for, and it's beautiful for it, is just fresh pasta and the Lupicino's marinara sauce. We work very closely with Woods Produce and Meadows of Dan to get most of our bulk produce needs. We also have another sister farm of such called Oak Springs Farm going out towards Christiansburg on Route 8. They have produced a lot of hot peppers and specifically Roma tomatoes for us last year. The most important thing that we can do here is working with the season. So the two most challenging things are both waiting until we have the chance to work with the products that we love to work with, and then also just pushing through the seasons when we have the products so we can produce as much as we possibly can at that time. Yeah, so we give regular donations to Plenty, our local food bank. We've donated pasta, sauces, pickled beets, all of our sauerkrauts. We try to really give back in that manner especially. We also have donations to a number of local businesses and foundations, just trying to make sure that we can give back to the community as much as possible. We don't offer workshops yet. If you call ahead and schedule a tour, we're more than happy to show you around at any time. We're currently working on our retreat center, and when the retreat center is built, we will have a lot more community outreach projects in general, both for free and also for learning over the course of a weekend or even a week, and working with us on the farm and in the kitchen and understanding how to preserve and how to use the ingredients that you grow at home. So the biggest thing that we have as a new undertaking currently is the retreat center, where we will be hosting retreats for yoga, mindfulness, and also we'll be hosting private dinners there, plated parties. We will have that as a wedding venue as well. It is going to open up a lot of avenues for us to be able to spend more time here on the farm with the community, just doing what we love and spending time together. There's always new products being worked on. I've strongly felt in my life that when you stop growing or you become stagnant, you die. And in that sense, we have multiple products that are going through certification with FDA right now, and we have more that we're working on that I'll keep under wraps, but you should keep an eye out for the pineapple relish that's going to be coming out in stores very shortly. So Floyd Express carries a lot of our products. I would also say there's a good chance this one's going to end up at the Republic, and definitely will be at the Eco Village Farm Store. Here at Deer Park, we have put our heart and soul into every product that we make, and I invite you to enjoy our efforts.